Hi, everyone. This is Stephen Vantassel, wildlife control consultant, bringing another episode of Living the Wildlife as part of the Pest Geek podcast family. And, well, we brought back somebody, Thomas Kaps, part of the Flock Free company. So we had some interesting things to say, and we had to kind of cut it off too short because, well, we don't have the heavy-duty version of our Zoom. So we can only go for about 40 minutes before they cut us off. So we're having him back to talk about all things birds and how to take care of the little buggers. So welcome aboard, Tom.
Good to see you again, Steve. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, so why don't we get right to it? Let's talk about some of the products that you weren't able to talk about the last time we were together. So
Okay.
do you have anything interesting for some of our structural guys?
Yeah, so I thought we'd start off with some more basic stuff. And the stuff that I'll be talking about tonight is really good for getting reoccurring revenue.
Okay.
So the whole idea is that you can create reoccurring revenue with bird control, which is sort of a new idea. Up until very recently, it was always a one and done kind of thing. Put some nets up, put some spikes up, and busy PCO would have trouble doing a lot of the work because they have routes that they run. And then if a bird job came along, would mean taking a couple guys off a run and trying to find the time to do the bird job. And a lot of times it'd be different guys doing one bird job, and it got to be complicated. That's why a lot of people shy away from birds, because they think it's really difficult. So my goal was to make some easy stuff. So the easiest thing I came up with so far, the Flock Free has a tank mix that we've come up with. We touched on it a little bit in the previous episode, but I think it's such an important tool and an easy tool to use. So, for instance, we have a small kit that we actually sell homeowners. It's just a 4-ounce dauber filled with our tank mix, and it makes 2 gallons. And this one actually comes with stickers.
Okay.
So the idea is that we always want to give birds a visual with a consequence. So in the case of the residential kit, it comes with a roll of 10 stickers, which are holographic in nature.
Mm-hmm.
The contents of the 4-ounce dauber makes 2 gallons of material. It's an all natural product. It has 8 active ingredients in it. Contains corn oil and peppermint and white pepper and garlic oil and clove oil and rosemary. So a lot of times the natural products that you buy have one main ingredient, like cedar wood oil or garlic. Or the chemist I work with, he puts a bunch of them together and he uses some nanotechnology, some surfactant to make them stick to things. And what's remarkable is we'll spray this stuff on the surface and it'll stay active for 3 weeks. So it becomes part of a nice monthly program. You can spray it, and the birds will see the sticker on a homeowner's house. They get near the sticker, and it's irritating to the birds, and they learn to stay away. What's nice about the tank mix is a lot of other sprays that are out there, they need to be ingested, or they need to be flying through them. A lot of the methylphenidate products are microencapsulated, so you have to eat it to make the pain, effective, or you have to fly through it. So what's nice about this, if you were to put this in the machine, it'll go up in the air and drift, but then it'll come down and leave a residue. So you get this really nice combination of bugging birds while they're flying or when they're loafing.
Okay. What kind of microns are you wanting that, if you're vaporizing it, what kind of microns do you want to get it down to?
Well, if it's an oil-based product, you want to be 30 microns or less, because you want that stuff to rise and disappear, and you do not want to leave a residue with an oil-based product in most cases, especially one that contains the active ingredient of methylphenidate.
Yep.
Methylphenidate is the skin of a Concord grape, and if it gets on a painted surface or wood or something that's stained, it'll actually eat through those things.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really tough. And the oil-based products you don't mix with anything, because oil and water don't mix.
Right.
Surprised how many times I come across. I went to a Home Depot many years ago, and the fellas had one of our hazing units there, which was meant for oil-based or water-based, but they were using oil. And something went terribly wrong, and I had to go up there and see what was going on. And the whole place was just covered with this slimy stuff.
Oh, yeah, they did. A little heavy.
What did you guys do? Well, we mixed it like you said. I never told you to mix it. Water. And everywhere there was crap. It was amazing. I said, guys, what do you? And it was and the manager was furious, as you can imagine.
Oh, God.
So I played nice. I made it work. I actually took the machine they had and put a new one up that was nice and clean, showed the guys how to use it, and everything went well. But the basic stuff, because these guys just didn't do bird work, so they didn't know,
Right.
So anyway, so the tank mix works great for residential. So a lot of guys that are running routes, even if the homeowner doesn't want to pay for you to do something, if it's on the truck, you can sell it. It's a 1999 product. It's very
Sure,
easy to
sure.
add
And how
on.
does it work? It's absorbed through the feet?
No, actually, no. What happens is this stuff, it's microencapsulated. So when it gets
Yeah.
on it, has a little suffocant on it, so it'll stick to things. When they get it on their feet and they preen themselves and ingest it, they
Okay.
don't like it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
About 70 degrees or more, it actually vaporizes very slowly because the microencapsulation breaks down very slowly and
Right.
the scent. So if they breathe it, they don't like it. If they eat it, they don't like it. So that makes it unique. Even if it's time release and they're flying near it, as they fly through it, what happens with birds is when they fly and they're flapping their wings, their heartbeat and breathing rate goes up 30% more.
Sure.
When
Sure.
they're flying, they're breathing a lot of air because they breathe differently than we do.
So it would work. It would last longer then in a more sheltered environment away from direct sunlight.
The sunlight actually helps because you want to vaporize it.
You want to vaporize it.
The
Okay.
only thing that breaks it down really is if it rains like crazy. It'll withstand a couple rain episodes, but if it's a pouring rain,
Right.
then you have to reapply. So the commercial, so that's the residential one. The visual with the residential is the little stickers, which is
Right.
easy for a person to understand.
Okay.
With the commercial, someone has a bigger job or a more frequent application that they need to do. We actually sell a big tank mix kit, which comes with a gallon of the concentrate. The gallon makes 55 gallons of usable material.
Wow. 55 to 1. That's a lot.
It's about $6 a gallon, ready to
Okay.
go. And we also, with that kit comes a separate product called Invisidye. And that's an optimal brightener. And what happens is you do your normal mix rate of 2 ounces per gallon.
Mm-hmm.
You take an ounce of the Invisidye and pour it into that mix, shake it up a little bit. And what the Invisidye does, it makes everything look purple to birds. Because birds see UV like fish do because of the shape of their eyes, or conical shape. So they see UV. And what happens is now, all of a sudden, when a bird flies near a building, it could be a parking garage, an outdoor restaurant, it could be grass. In the case of geese, they'll see the grass looks purple, looks funny. They go to investigate, eat the grass, get near the purple color. They're irritated the same way, either by inhalation, preening themselves, and then they learn right away, oh, that purple stuff is no good.
Okay.
So we build a whole program around that.
And which species of birds are we referring to here?
We have not had the only bird species that gave us a really hard time with cormorants.
Cormorants. Okay.
Yeah, they're like little dinosaurs.
So even with woodpeckers, so we're talking about pigeons, house sparrows, starlings, Eurasian doves. If you have them, you guys have them out there. We're starting to get them here in Montana.
Pretty much any bird species we've done, it's worked. With the waterfowl,
Yeah.
you need to up the dosage to 4 ounces per gallon. They eat differently. If you ever see a duck eat, or like they just shovel that food in,
Yeah. Okay.
They look differently. So they take 4 ounces per gallon.
Waterfowl. Okay.
And it works pretty much every time. You just have to be persistent. We typically tell people do it 3 weeks in a row and once a month. So in the case of the woodpeckers, we get a lot of woodpecker calls. And before we came up with this, we used to use a product, I forget the name of it now, but a Repel.
Okay.
There's a product called Repel out there. It was like a critter kind of thing, but it worked well on woodpeckers because it had some similar elements that this stuff does.
Mm.
So woodpeckers, same thing. We tell a contract, hey, tell them you're going to come 3 weeks in a row and once a month. Typically, after the second time you spray it, the woodpecker's gone.
Okay.
And you can spray it on pretty much any surface, but if someone has like a really fancy house with some wooden shingles on it that cost $1 million, you may want to test a little spot just to see what happens.
It's always a good idea to test everybody, just a little bit until you get familiar with it.
And the other key thing with the Invisidye, so if you mix up a backpack blower or something, that's the best way to apply it. And one of those mosquito blower deals.
Yeah.
Apply a lot of it, shoot 30 feet in the air, so you can cover a large amount of area very quickly.
Okay.
The only thing you have to do is really clean out that machine because the Invisidye will separate once it sits and it'll clog nozzles in it. So you got to clean it real good afterwards.
Okay.
We also have machines that you can put the tank mix in and they automatically go off. We've got a variety of hazers, they're called.
Yeah.
Adjustable nozzles, timers, heaters, the whole bit. So we can actually automate the tank mix application. And in that instance, you wouldn't want to use the Invisidye either because it will separate, get on the bottom of the tank.
Right.
But we teach people that, if they buy a machine and want to do the tank, we teach them.
So I've been fascinated by these hazers, right? So they have a lot of automatic ability to them. They're puffing out some pretty small microns at times. That really getting down to a haze, which is what, down to 10 microns.
Yes.
So, so the question that I have is, what is the context that you're using for something like that? Is it always indoors? Are you using it outdoors as well? Is it that to be a confined area? Can you explain a little bit more about the right situation for the hazers?
Sure. So if you let's go with the so if you're doing an outdoor application with a hazer, the wind is always going to win. So
Right.
you can have fans and stuff. If you're indoors, you can use a fan to increase the amount of product you put in the air.
Right.
But the distinction is, so our machines can use both water-based products
Mm-hmm.
and oil-based products. We can do either one. And the difference is that the oil-based product dissipates naturally into the air because the micron level is so low. So if you do an oil-based product, the way they create that haze that you're talking about, so if you were to take a jug of the MA product that we sell, it's 40% methyl phthalate, and if you shake it and open the top up, you're going to see that cigarette smoke coming out.
Right.
So what we do is we take put it in the tank. We actually have a nozzle inside the tank that shoots the product back into the product, makes the cigarette smoke, rises up through a copper tube, and then we blow it out with a little blower. And that gives you the cigarette smoke. That makes sure nothing comes down and settles on things, makes a mess on anything.
Yeah.
You don't want this stuff coming down, you know?
No.
But the 40%, if you're too close to a wall, you'll stain the wall.
Yeah.
Too close to a pine tree, you'll kill the pine tree. And ask me how I know, because we now know.
A bird told you. A bird told you killed the tree.
No.
A bird told you.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So a lot of people will buy a hazer and they want to put the oil-based product in it. Then they feel as though they have to mount that thing really high in the air.
Yeah.
And that's the exact opposite, because the fact that the product rises means if you put it 10 foot high, there's no coverage from 10 feet down.
Yeah.
And the birds are smart enough to realize they can go underneath it. So you want to get it low enough that you don't, shoot somebody in the face with it if they're walking by.
Right.
But high enough, but not 6 feet. We say the bottom machine should be no higher than 6 feet, and then you're safe.
Sure.
And with the oil-based machine, that's got to go up every 3 minutes for about 30 seconds at a time, because it dissipates naturally into the air. So you got to have that thing going off every 3 minutes, every 3 minutes. And what will happen is that thing will turn on and off 3,000 times a month, easily. So the oil base only affects birds in flight. So a lot of times people will buy a hazer, they'll put it underneath an overhang or a canopy top, or around the warehouse or something, and they'll see a bird sitting right on top of it. The stuff doesn't work. The bird's not flying. So that's the one bad part about using oil-based product, which is why we came up with the water-based product.
Right.
The water-based product we actually mount higher, because it'll rise a little bit, but that doesn't go straight up. It wants to come down. So what we do is we put it up high. The wind will take it. You go 60, 70 yards, but it'll gradually come down. And when it comes down, it leaves a residue that lasts for 3 weeks. So you can imagine if I'm trying to do a rooftop and there's a lot of strong wind, I can get away with oil or I get away with water. I like the water a little better a lot of times because it leaves that residue. So when people ask me, well, the wind's blowing all over the place. Well, that's actually ideal, because then the birds can't figure out what's going on. And if you use the water base, it's always going to come down and leave a residue. So, and in both cases, the speed up the process with the hazers is that we give them a visual, like or spinning flock reflector or UV paint, perhaps, and the same kind of thing happens. But the hazers are cool. They can put out, like I said, water or oil. They all have internal heaters, so they can run in the coldest of weather. They have timers that you can, duration and frequency to your heart's delight. You can run Monday one time, you can do Tuesday a different time. So you can really customize it to, like say an outdoor restaurant, the birds only come around lunchtime. You can actually set the timer so you hit them just when you want to, because you don't need it to run at night if there's not a problem.
Yeah.
The one machine we have, the portable Moby, looks like a little suitcase. That one's cool because what we did was we have a second outlet on it. So when we put a fan on top, we have a little fan we can mount on top of it. And what happens is you don't want the fan to run all the time. So what happens is that outlet only comes on when the compressor comes on to create the haze. So when the compressor comes on and generates the haze, the fan comes on and blows it, and everything shuts down. So this way it's not running all the time. But then I thought, hey, the biggest problem about mounting hazers is hooking up electric. It could cost $2,500 to run electric to one of these things. So how do we cut down on that cost a little bit? So the portable Moby actually has a separate outlet on it, a third outlet that you use to daisy chain one unit to another. And they only draw about 3 or 4 amps. So these things, you can hook 4 of them up at one time. You can even go more, and all you have to do is make sure they don't go off all at the same time.
Yeah.
So you can run 4 or 5 machines off of one outlet, and that saves a lot of money, as long as it's legal to do that. Some states don't want you to run outlets if it's a permanent install.
Yeah.
So,
and what about solar? Is it too much amperage for a solar for a solar
We,
panel?
that's a great question. And we do have a solar hazer.
Okay.
Works terrific. It can run all day. Duration frequency, 3 minutes, 30 seconds. Or if we're doing the water-based product, doesn't have to go off as often because it comes down and leaves a residue. So it doesn't have to be on all the time. So our little portable unit, it's a portable solar hazer. It's restricted to use in the spring, summer, fall, because in the winter there's no heater. The solar panel couldn't support a heater.
Okay.
So spring, summer, fall, no problem. It really works great because you don't have to plug it in. You can move it around, and just a little bit of sun gets the thing running and keeps it going. So it's really cool.
So I would suspect those of you out and down in the South don't really have to worry about a winter time.
Exactly.
So I would suspect it's probably, maybe Missouri, because Missouri can get some snow. Probably Missouri South, you should be okay mostly, unless you're maybe up in some of the mountain areas. But otherwise, for those of us Northerners, having a solar bank is really neat. I'd like to transition a little bit. So let's talk about a lot of our guys are single man operations. Maybe they don't have the manpower, because manpower has been a big challenge for many of them, probably why they don't get into bird work. I've encouraged them to try to build strategic alliances with even their competitors where they can sort of put the knives down for a day or two and do a bird job, do the netting, and then go pick up the knives again and fight each other some more after the job is done. But talk to me about how, if you were talking with a new wildlife control operator, new to you, I would say,
Sure.
and he wants to get into some bird work, and he's obviously wants to be successful right off the bat, but can't drop 10 grand on a program. How would you get him started? What would be to introduce him into something? Of course, he's having pigeons. He has clients maybe with some small pigeon jobs, house sparrows, starlings. Let's go with kind of the big three.
Yeah, sure. The first thing he needs to do is take some pictures.
Okay.
Get a brief description from the customer, what's going on, how long it's been going on, and then give me a call.
Well,
and then what I do is that from that point on, I'll kind of take him by the hand and we'll work it together. And it's that simple because we get all kinds of things. People call, I get calls 10 times a day with just that kind of scenario. And even with more experienced guys who just they've done a couple jobs, but and a lot of them are looking for reoccurring. And a lot of them are looking for, like, if it's a complicated netting job, I would dissuade a new person from attempting that.
Right.
I would too. What I would do is say, look, if someone wants a netting job, get the square footage, give me some pictures, because there's different square footage, right? There's easy square footage, and then there's very difficult square footage.
Yes, there is. And absolutely. And take that advice to heart, folks, because when you're getting into some of these big net jobs, you can make a lot of money, or you could wish to God you never started the job to begin with.
Yeah, it gets really complicated.
Yeah. So definitely take advantage of these opportunities with when you have a manufacturer and a dealer who's willing to work with you, everybody. Take advantage of this opportunity, because they get paid when you get, when you're doing well in your business, they're doing well in their business. And so it's mutually efficient for both of you. They want to be successful. Then your client's happy, you're happy. Flock Free's happy, other dealers are happy. That's what we want. We want you out there making money so you can start living your wildlife rather than being the wildlife, as I like to say. So, that's really helpful. So why don't you give people your company name again and a phone number where they can reach you? So let's get that out there again. I mentioned it earlier. Let's do it again.
Sure. The name of the company is Flock Free Bird Control. My name is Tom Kaps. My phone number is 732-433-4003. We also have a phone app now. It's Flock Free Bird Control app on both brands, the Apple and the Droid application. Yeah. And anything you purchase through the app, you automatically get a 5% discount.
Nice.
Just because we love people to come visit us. And then you can contact me through the app or through my website as well. And then I'm happy to talk to people, teach them what to do. And like I said, we'll take them all the way from the very beginning. They can do easy stuff. If they get something complicated, we've actually done work for people. So what will happen is if they get a bird netting job and they really want to learn, I'll send, maybe it's a 3-man job, I'll send 2 and invite that person to come work with us for the time it takes. Even if it's just for a couple hours a day, they can learn the basics of bird netting with us on the job. Right. Even something so simple as to learn how to use a lift properly, because it's a headache. If you don't know how to use a lift, you don't know how to use a lift.
Yes, and even when you do, I've heard couple of stories where people are renting them and they're breaking down.
Sure, happens
Find
all the time.
themselves way up there. It's like, how does that happen? Why, that's kind of, well, maybe that's a topic for another story, but
Yeah.
well, that's very helpful. And I hope everyone out in the audience really understands that. They'll think about that. If you can, so stop saying the word no. I mean, I've encouraged a lot of wildlife control operators and PCOs, stop saying no, start saying yes, and get the help that you need, because you could actually be paid. Think about it. You're selling a job, you're getting a commission, you're getting paid to train, to learn how to do more of this type of work. And there is high value in this, and a lot of people need it. I would tell people, when I say, when you see one of those plastic owl effigies, that's a cry for help, and you need to help that person. And so they were calling for help. And so you need to stop your vehicle, drop off a card, reach out, work with it. All right. Well, we have a few more minutes left. So what else do you have to talk?
Okay, so we have a couple of things that are really easy as well. We have something called a bird bomb.
Bird bomb.
Bird bomb.
Oh, that's just too cool. Yeah, can you show us one?
Here's what a bird bomb looks like.
Bird bomb. Oh, wow.
It's a little absorbent ball. So this little bird ball will suck about 99% of its weight in fluid. So this will actually hold about 3 ounces of fluid.
Wow.
So what we do is I'll make up like a little bucket of tank mix. And what I'll do is I'll make them 50-50 with this. You mix 50-50 with the tank mix concentrate.
Okay.
Let this thing soak. And just for ha-has, I put a little isopropyl alcohol in there, maybe 20%. Okay. I pull this thing out, it really reeks. So this is great for, let's say you have birds living in bushes around a building, or trees or shrubs, heavy duty shrubs, or like in a weird corner where you can't reach it easily.
Right,
you put these things up there, and it will outgas for about a month and a half to 2 months, depending on how hot it is and the temperature. And then what's nice about it is you come back 30 days later, you pull the bird bomb down and just redip it. You reuse it. It's like a $5 item. You use it over and over again. So it's working while you're not there. The other thing we have is we have these little pucks. These little pucks. They come in 2 packs. About $11 for these 2 little things. And what these things do, you'll notice we have the silvery shiny sticker, because that's the visual.
Right.
And there's a bunch of holes at the top of it. It's like the Parmesan cheese kind of top. You pop, that's what's on top of here. Yeah. And then you peel the silver back to reveal it's like a waxy substance. It smells like grape. And at about 70 degrees, it starts to volatilize, and it'll give off the grape aroma that birds do not like.
Right.
And if you peel the whole sticker off, it'll last for about 3 months. If you take half a sticker, you get about 4 months out of it. And again, this is like, say you have loading dock doors, and birds are making nests up on top of loading dock doors. You can use a bird bomb or one of these pucks and get that under control, and it'll work while you're not there. So you can spray your tank mix, leave the bird bomb around, or the pucks, and it's working for you when you're not there. And this way, you're not hazing really. You didn't put a hazer up or like a misting system, for instance, but you're doing something while you're not there in between trips or hard spots.
So would you have someone start with some of these methods? Like you talked about the tank spray, you have your little discs there, and perhaps even the bird bomb. Would start with some of those, and then if you're getting some success, you need to ramp it up. You would then take it. What would be the next level beyond those?
Well, then you can start thinking about what I encourage guys to do is try to build a route if possible.
Yeah.
So imagine being able to do a bird job with just a spray rig, just a simple little hand,
Mm-hmm.
And what I have guys do is they do it at nighttime. So if they're like doing a shopping center, so we run across a lot of shopping centers where there's birds building nests on top of all the signs. Well, if you were to shock tape the top of that sign, that works great, but it could be a $10,000 job for the customer. You need a lift. You got to get up there. You got to do the work. Take 3 days, 2 days. You really have to know what you're doing. It's a little complicated. Or you can spray 3 weeks in a row, once a month, spray, and do it at night when there's no traffic. So you go from job to job. That's the easiest thing. The easiest thing to go after too is woodpeckers. Everybody's got a lot of woodpecker problems.
A lot of woodpeckers.
It's an easy job to do. A lot of little starlings and sparrows build nests underneath the, next to windows, behind the shutters and thing. Easy fix. Mud swallows build little nests and porches in the corners and things. That's an easy fix for us. Same thing. A lot of it involves the tank mix, but like for mud swallows, I'll give you what we do as a pointer. So if you have mud swallows building a nest on a building or your house or whatever, they're there for dead airspace. They're looking for dead airspace. So if you go to a shopping center that has a problem with mud swallows, if you drive through the shopping center, you're going to see all the mud swallows on the same side of all the buildings, because those are the areas where there's no wind.
Okay.
And what's nice about those little mud swallows, they're like hummingbirds the way they flap their wings, because they're actually building that thing with mud while they're flying.
Yeah.
So they don't like the tank mix. They don't like any kind of MA product. They hate it. So what we do is we can't touch the nest. Once there's a nest there, you're kind of stuck.
Right.
You can't touch them because they're protected. But once they're done having their babies, you rip that stuff down.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a tape, a double-sided poly tape, and I put fishing line every 3 inches, about 3 inches apart. So like the dot thing we were talking about last time.
Yeah.
All I do is I take this fishing line, make it about 10 inches long, separate it by a couple inches, and then just run that string with the tape and just tape it up on top. And what happens when the birds come back the next spring, I'll go there and tank mix it. It's a covered area, so the tank mix, you'll see the Invisidy, even though it's outdoors. The Invisidy doesn't go away.
Right.
It's covered area, so the birds will see the purple. They'll go to the corner to make it. And what happens is their wings come in contact with that fishing line.
Nice.
And they don't like it, and they back off. The mistake people make is they make the fishing line too short. And then the birds actually push the fishing line into the mud and actually use it to make the nest. It's going to be about 10 inches long. But if you don't know that, you don't want to help them.
Yeah.
So it's little things like that we know that are easy to do that guys can do, and that's the next, just look for the easy work. Signage is easy. For instance, we went to a ground round restaurant a year and a half, 2 years ago, and the guy wanted me to price out spiking all his signs. It was like a $22,000 spike job, And I said, or we can do this. We did the tank mix. I said, look, you can buy the tank mix and do it yourself, or I can come do it. So in this case, I did it for him the first time. He couldn't believe how easy it was, because they did the grass for geese, the trees, the bushes. His maintenance guy started doing it himself, and he buys the product from it. So you guys can do the same thing. You have a customer, if they don't have the budget for you to do it, you can even show them how to do it, and they can actually buy the product from you.
Right. So let's talk about that a little bit. So, because you're registered, you're 25B, right?
Yep, 25B.
25B. So everybody, so this is, for those of you who are pest controllers, you get the law on this already, but for those who are wildlife control operators, you may not be quite as familiar with it. So here's the deal. You need to contact we're always encouraging you to get your pest control license. That should be number one. Get your pest control license. So some states, I know Nebraska, when I was there, doesn't require a pesticide license to use repellents in a commercial setting. So if you're a business and you want to spray repellents on someone else's property, that would be okay. Whether it's changed or not, it's been a few years since I've been there. Most states, however, require you to have a pesticide license to spray any product on someone else's property. So make sure you get that kind of laid out. And if you're going to be selling a product, some states are going to require you to get a pesticide dealer's license. And for sometimes it's not as very hard to get, to be quite frank about it, because they just want you to be able to do some paperwork and stuff. So you can get your pesticide dealer's license. And so make sure you contact your Department of Agriculture in your state or whatever agency handles your pesticides, and make sure you're legal, get the insurance you need. But this is definitely a way you need to get this, even if you don't want to be using, doing mice and rats and that sort of thing. It opens up possibilities for you when those opportunities arise. I just want to make sure I get that out there for the public to make sure they're following the law. So very, very, very important, but it's not as scary as people think. So definitely reach out there. All right. We have a couple of minutes left. Final words. Make sure you give out your name again and your phone number for our audience. Maybe pull over, everybody. Get this phone number down.
All right, great. Phone number is 732-433-4003. Or you can go to your app store and get the Flock Free Bird Control app. And that has a lot of information you can read, learn, do, call. And we even came out with a new T-shirt now. The social distancing. It's actually a Flock Off T-shirt. Got a really cool looking bird, and it says Flock Off.
Flock off.
We give you a special deal on that T-shirt, and it will help with social. It'll start conversations, but you
without a doubt. That's hilarious.
We try to be a little inventive and have fun with things.
That's hilarious. Well, Tom, it's been great having you on the show again. We're really glad you be here. So, hey, everybody, we're wrapping it up here before Zoom cuts me off. So I'm Stephen Vantassel, wildlife control consultant. Hey, let me know how we're doing out here. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast. give us some pointers. Let me know if there's a topic you'd like me to have covered. Again, wildlifecontrolconsultant@gmail.com, wildlife control consultant, just no S on the end of that, @gmail.com. And make sure, everybody, you live the wildlife, don't be the wildlife. And we're looking for sponsors too. If you're interested in being a sponsor, definitely reach out to me. Tom, thank you so much for participating with us today and sharing some of your tips that are really going to make some of our guys some money. Reach out to Tom. He's available. Hope everything goes well, and be safe out there, everybody. Bye.